third installment here of the Flight series. We've been out to 9 Mile. We've been out to Back Channel. Go back, watch those videos if you haven't already. Now we're here at the Lupulin Brewing Tap Room here in Big Lake. Anyone that hasn't checked it out, I mean, the place is magnificent. Look at this beautiful mural that Marcus, can design extraordinaire, came up with.
This is just one room, by the way.
Yeah, this is, I mean, I wouldn't even call this a room. This is like a chamber.
With a loft, more seating area, a bar, more taps. Yeah.
Yeah, this place rocks.
It's awesome.
But we're out here. We're going to go through a flight with two of the brewers here, Ben and Mike, crushing through more of the hoppy profile, primarily going through IPAs, and then going into our 4 topics as always. This week, it's going to be X Factors for the Minnesota Wild season. Let's go. Here yet again from the Lupulin Brewing Tap Room up in Big Lake, Minnesota. It took a hiatus this year. This is the first year that we didn't connect on something for Big Beer Week. I'll take the blame for that, being that I had new offspring. So.
I came here and I posted a vlog and tried almost every single beer. So I did.
I don't believe that.
So
You're way too small to survive that.
I did represent the Sota pod. So there you go.
It's not the same if we're not collaborating with all the guys over here.
No collaborative efforts, but I just want to say that I did make it out here. This guy, not so much.
We'll have to do better next time.
Don't have kids, folks.
Too late.
But hey, we've got Ben, first time jumping on the show, and Mike back after a long hiatus. Appreciate you guys jumping on, and it looks like we got quite the spread of beers that we're going to be running through here today.
Yeah, see what we can do. See if we can put some damage in.
So, theme here is hoppy.
IPA. We're going to throw a twist in at the end, but yeah, IPA across the board.
Like that. I like twists. And any like rhyme or reason just from your guys' perspective? I know I've heard different things from other brewers, but how do you decide what order you drink these in?
Well, we did. We picked these beers specifically because Fashion Mullet's just one of our favorites. We love it. It's kind of and we're canning it right now, which is kind of nice. It's just one of our fan favorites. It's a core beer. We all drink it right off the canning line. It's super good. It's got a nice balance of East and West Coast. The one next to it is our Fair Mullet, which we did for the State Fair this year. Did a little twist on it, so I threw that one in because I wanted to see like if anyone else could pick up the nuance between the two. I think it's pretty poignant, but that's me. And then we did our sexy hops here at the end, which we luckily got our hands on quite a bit of a new hop called Superdelic, which just came out of the Pacific area. I think it's New Zealand. Yeah, New Zealand. And it uses Simcoe, which is one of our other main hops that we use in pretty much everything. And then this is the secret. And that's Mike's.
Ooh, secret.
Mike likes that one.
Mike's baby.
Those are the beers I like a lot.
All right. Well, I don't know what else needs to be said.
Let's
jump in.
Let's get to beer number one.
Where do we start here, Ben?
Sure. Yeah. Let's start on the left and get into this Fashion Mullet. It's going to be. Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
I'll let you talk about it. I drink it all the time. I've got a lot of things to say about it, but it's one of my favorites.
You know what? The way you said it is spot on, right? Because you guys promote it and label it more as a West Coast. Like this isn't West Coast to me, right?
Yeah.
This is a good balance between the two. I mean, similar to the Tourney Flow that we worked on a year and a half ago, where he's very West Coast, I'm very East Coast, and it is kind of a happy medium that makes both of us very ready to drink.
It's a well balanced and kind of works well with a lot of different palates. I think
totally balance is the perfect descriptor because there is a little bit of that juiciness to it, but you get a little bit of that hop kick, and that's what I search for. I love the hoppier, the more bitter, the better for me.
Awesome.
Way more, and that's where I just lean more than the hazy IPAs or more of them on the east side here, the more juice bombs. But this one is so good because it doesn't matter what style. If you're on one side or the other, like this is something that both, that anyone can enjoy.
For sure, it's approachable. Yeah.
Yeah, you get a little bit of that like softness.
Yeah.
But there's still a little bit of that hop bite, so it's kind of that best of both worlds.
Yeah, right on.
Topic number 1, Isha, what do we got here?
Goalies. Now, surprise, surprise, with everything going on around the 3 goalies that the Minnesota Wild have on their NHL roster right now, the team is either going to thrive with this plan, they're going to die with this plan, or it's going to be, it's not going to be long before we see Jesper Wallstedt back in the AHL. For me, it's more of an injuries thing. If the goalies are fine this starting stretch, then we're probably just going to see Fleury and Gus, and Wallstedt will probably get time back in the minors here again. I
don't know if I agree. I think this is a scenario where if the plan all year is to have 3 in consideration, that's a problem. And I don't think, like, they're not going to come out and say that, but this is basically, Gustafsson, show us what you can do. If you are what you were 2 years ago, we are going to ride you because we want to win games, and making the playoffs is really the only thing Leopold is thinking about right now besides getting Kirill Kaprizov re-signed next summer. So if Gustafsson comes out and balls out, that's set. It's him and Fleury, and you're right. They're gonna send Wallstedt back down to make sure he's getting minutes. But they want him to play NHL games. They're gonna find their spots for him to get in occasionally. But the question is, does he get 10 starts or does he get 20 plus? And that's entirely going to come down to Gustafsson. I think Fleury is what he is at this point.
He's going to get a healthy amount of he's going to get a healthy amount of starts, Yeah,
and he's there to be a locker room vibes guy. He's a legend. They want him here for selling tickets for the farewell tour. And it's really Gustafsson versus Wallstedt for the other side of it, which is a bummer because, like, in a perfect world next year, that's your tandem. But fans seem...
In a perfect world, actually, this year, that's your tandem. But anyways.
That's not a possible world right now. No. So we're going to move off of that. But I think if you're actually juggling 3, like, consistently past 15 games into the season, that scares me.
Me too.
Goalie rotations don't work.
They don't work, and it means you're not confident in at least 2 of the guys.
Or even if you're confident in all of them, it's just goalies don't get in a rhythm that way. That's not good for them. Wallstedt needs to get minutes, period, regardless of where it's at.
Well, and based on what you just said too, Gus needs minutes to show management and show us that he's got it.
It's also the debacle, though, where fans are like, well, like, when do we trade Gustafsson? Well, if he's doing really well, you don't want to trade him. And if he's doing really badly, no one wants to trade for him. Exactly. So it's like, what do you do in that scenario? But
it's an interesting scenario.
It's going to be weird to watch. I think the only thing we can say with certainty is Fleury's probably tabbed for give or take a third of the slate.
Yeah.
Like 30-ish games is probably where he's at. And then the other 2, just depending on how things shuffle out, I just hope it's not a clean third split, because that's not good for anybody.
Is going to be the fair mullet. Yep, still has it, in my opinion. So this one we tweaked the hopping, kept it similar, but we used another relatively new hop called Nectaron.
Okay,
and it's got like hop. This like big old like peach ring, kind of like artificial is kind of a bad word. It's a naughty word, but it's the word. It tastes like peach rings that you buy at the gas station.
Yeah.
And I love the way it just kind of even brings it a little bit more to the juicy side, but still has that nice like grounding bite of bitterness to it.
And it lingers a little bit longer as well, this one for sure.
It lingers, and for me, like it's not the right word, but it's the closest word I can come up with. It's just got a little bit more of that like dank hit to it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like it's not. I wouldn't like label this as like a dank beer, right? But like that's just like comparing the two. I almost get that little tinge of it.
Yeah, it's like a slight dankness in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one we got to select at CBC. What was that, last year? So they were doing like rubbings at the conference.
Oh, wow.
So we picked up a couple 100 pounds, and this is one of the things was like, I would love to see this in this beer. So threw it in there.
It plays.
Yeah. Yeah, selecting hops is always a lot of fun, trying to keep everything balanced and consistent across generations. So that's where we just came from.
Well, I was going to say, let's sidebar this. Talk about the trip that you guys had last week.
So every year, at least Mike, Aaron, and I go out to hop selection. Shout out to Talking Waters and Phil, 'cause he came with. He's come I think he came 2 years ago and then this last year, and it's great to have as many pallets on the table as you can. Essentially, you sit down with a bunch of different hop cores that they pull right out of the bale, and then you rub them to try to activate the oils and get them hot so they'll be aromatic and they'll kind of volatilize into your sinuses, which makes everyone sneeze a lot.
It's a sneeze factory when you're in there.
But yeah, so you just rub them and you talk about what the aromatics that you're getting are, and then you can do some sensory stuff, especially some of the we'll get like data from past years. It'll be on the screen and say, hey, this is what you selected. This is what you selected last year. This is to style for these hops. Yeah, and then we drink a lot of beer.
I mean, that sounds like the best part. But like talking about being a novice, right? I've never gone out and done a hop selection. Do you get everything you need from that sensation, from just like the scent, the aroma, or is it something that there's like more to it? Like from year to year, especially, like if you've got the exact same type of hop from the same provider, is it gonna be the same, or what other factors like
year to year,
Yeah.
where it was grown, when it was harvested? Like we'll have 4 different cores of the same hop on the table, and you have 4 totally different hops.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it can
Or
range.
you could have like 3 that are super similar, and like 1 that's way off. And it's very interesting when we first get them, and there's kind of like that once around where everybody's kind of just getting used to what we've got in front of us. And yeah, it can vary from like completely different to kind of similar, or like you have 2 that are very close, or it's really crazy how different hops can be, same variety, grown in different states, picked at different times. Even having the same state in 2 different farms can be vastly different.
Yeah, they could be like across the city from one another and be completely different, just depending on like how their water was. Like Mike was saying, it's pretty much it's a crapshoot. They try to be as consistent as they can.
And that's where, when we're looking at like, well, the last previous years, like we've really looked for these specific qualities in these hops. So then now we know as we're going in, like that's, in the back of the mind, like this is what we're really looking for. Are we getting a lot of this in these hops, or are we not?
Sure.
And we had a couple, I think just 2 this year, that after we had the 4 cores, we're like, yeah, can you bring some more in? So they bring a couple more cores in, and what's nice is when they're in there with you, they're asking, okay, well, what are you looking for? What did you not like? What did you like? What are you looking for? And they can take that information and go look for stuff that fits that that criteria. And yeah, both times when they brought us cores in, all of a sudden it was like, boom, both of these are ready. Like, get rid of the other 4. It's down to these 2.
Yeah.
Interesting. So how accurate is the sniff test, right? Like, is there anything else just to like the construct of it, or like, is it strictly smell and how it's gonna like react?
There's a lot
when
of
you're
that
doing a brew,
and we're getting better at it as we go.
Yeah.
The more time we can go out and spend there, and rub different things and like see how it correlates to beer, and trying to keep that like in your memory of what it is. The nice thing about it too is they give you all of your notes. So any notes that you took,
years,
so when we get our lots coming up here in the beginning of next year, that they're going to process into pelletize, they'll go into beer, they'll go into hooey. And there's always like at least to our noses, because we drink it all the time. There's always like, oh, the hop lot's changed, because like they're really close to what we selected, but like there is definitely like a gray area of transition that you can see from lot to lot. You can't nail it perfectly, even if you pick for only oils. They'll do tests, like they'll break down every oil composition, all the compounds that are present in the hop. Even if you just select off of those, it could still be vastly different.
Okay. And to not overly tease the third beer we're going to get into here, but this year going out there trying all of this, right?
Yeah.
What was the sexy hop? Like, what's the one that popped, and what about it?
Which one
I guess would you say
It
is
was Simcoe Cryo, wasn't it?
Simcoe Cryo. That was the only hop that
man.
we gave a 10 out of 10 to.
Yeah.
When they
Okay.
came back in the room, they're like 10. We're like, dude, hands down.
It's the best
one
hop on the
right here.
table.
Like, guys,
Yeah.
I don't think you understand how seriously we take the rating scale. You're like, you're right, 11.
yeah. It goes
Okay,
to
fine.
11.
Does this one go to 11?
God, I gotta say, I've said it every time we've done something here with you guys, and I don't know. It's funny because I think one of the times we were talking to our buddies at Bad Weather, and I said what my favorite beer was, and the brewer's like, "Yeah, I don't even brew that." So
Yeah.
but S&M, the
Yeah.
original, not the newer version.
Yeah.
He likes the newer one. Not my wheelhouse at all.
Sure.
But the OG Simcoe
Yeah.
Mosaic,
Yeah.
that's beyond just the incredible branding that Marcus does. And we'll have to cut that. We don't need to pump Marcus's tires at all. But that is like just like such a consistent, reliable beer for me when you guys release it every year.
I love it. So yeah, we'll probably do it on the 10 this coming year, would be my guess.
Beautiful.
But
Love
yeah,
that.
it's a little bit more like artfully done there, I guess. I don't know. And it's limited, so we can kind of like move through it fast so it
Yeah.
stays super fresh. But yeah, it's a great beer. It's so good. It's just that Simcoe and Mosaic together. They just make this happy little. And I think the lots that we selected this year would
Oh my
would
God.
be pretty dynamite for that. The Mosaic was another one. I think we gave that one a 9. It was like right there, and it was so close. But yeah, it
Even
was.
Speaking of Mosaic, so we're good friends with the guys out at Stoop. So when we went into Seattle before we left, they had a fresh hop Mosaic that was so good.
We probably drank too much of that.
Yeah,
Mike.
way too much. Like the night before we leave or we get on the plane and just hammering fresh hop Mosaic.
You can't stop though. Once
Brad
once
just
you
kept
hit,
bringing us
yeah.
more and
Once
more.
it hits your lips,
Once it
it's
hits your
just
lips,
so
like
good.
just keep it coming.
Yep.
Sometimes it's easier to sleep on a plane after one of those nights.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that was an interesting night too. The Airbnb was
Very tight.
fascinating. It was ship themed.
Yeah, pirate theme.
Yeah,
Of course, in
no.
Seattle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh
naturally.
no.
Number 2. What do you got, Hoppy? X Factor this season.
Second topic is what I've been screaming for the past month or two. Second line. First and foremost, it is a imperative that they do not go Ek, Boldy, Kaprizov for extended periods of time, because while they rocked, objectively were a top 5 line in the league when they were together, if you don't have depth scoring behind it, you're not going to be successful, period. I think maybe back in 2007, we could say that's the only time that there's been a successful, legit ride one line and let it carry you with the Ottawa Senators. We're not built that way. I don't think that that's a sensible way to approach the season unless everything else improves around them. That it's just not sensible. And I think Ek and Boldy are pretty much going to be stapled together at this point. Who's riding shotgun with them? To start the year, it looks like it is going to be Marcus Johansson, which I know a lot of fans are really pissed about. Do I like it? No. Do I understand why that's the case? Yes. The reason for that, Isha? There's nowhere else he can play.
Yeah.
The third line is, I think, perfectly constructed, regardless of whether it's Rossi or Hartman in the middle. If you've got Foligno and Trennan, you're in a great spot. You don't replace either of them with Johansson. It doesn't make sense. He doesn't fit the role, and he's absolutely worthless to you on a fourth line. If he's going to succeed anywhere, it's the second line. We've seen it work before. He's in a contract year. It could work. If not, press box is really the only other option. And I don't have to tell everyone listening, ownership does not want to have $2 million sitting in the press box. They don't. Now, if he sucks and if Ogren looks great, they don't have a choice. They'll do it. but they're not going to just lead off with that. That's just not how the NHL works by and large. I think Ogren is absolutely the top candidate to go in and fit that line. Spoke Z most notedly, but I think most fans and even media covering the team at this point have gotten on board that is the line of the future. Whether it's a second or a third line, if you're a contending team, doesn't matter. Like, it's an incredible middle six line, very well balanced, hits everything you need. I just don't know how long it's going to take for either Ogren to prove himself or for the team to decide, hey, we're open to trying this out. But if we don't get scoring from the second line, this team is going to have real problems.
No, I agree. Now, it doesn't matter if you have a really good shutdown third line and your fourth line is good as well. If you can't score, it only takes one or two from the opposition, right? And you can keep games tight, but if you don't have that secondary scoring, man, if they can match what the first line is either producing or if the opposing team can shut down the first line, we saw this last year. We've already seen this play out when there's not a secondary scoring line, and I would have loved to see Ogren get that spot out of camp. I'm still positive that we see him get some reps there on that line this year, and knock on wood, he stays and it works out.
Knock on wood.
Or that Johansson scores 30, and how are you?
Just watch though. He's gonna have another great contract year.
Do not sign him, Billy.
He will get extended, and fans will collectively lose their minds.
As they should at that point.
But yeah, no, that's completely fair.
I guess before they get too warm, we should move on to the next one.
Yeah,
so
number three.
We just had two that were a lot more similar, right? What's different about the sexy house?
Everything. It's literally everything. It's significantly drier. I guess it shares Simcoe, but Superdelic and the Pilsner malt, that dryness. It just. It's a beer I want all the time.
Wow.
It's so drinkable, and there's so much flavor. It's like dank, berry, a little bit of pine, and it's everything, and then like nice little citrus kick to it. But it's so dry
Sweetness too,
that you
even
just
with that
keep
dry.
coming back to it.
For me, drinkability, you nailed it there. Like, that's really high.
Yeah.
I'd almost characterize this as the beer that, like, I don't think it's going to be anyone's favorite, and no one's going to not like it, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is, like, just such a, like, middle ground for anyone that's coming for anything even in this, like, spectrum of beer. Whereas, like, the fashion mullet, like, you're either going to like it or not like it, depending on, like, what style of IPA you like. But this just feels like, I don't think this beer could offend anyone.
Right.
But I also don't see anyone drinking it being like, this is the only beer I'm ever going to drink the rest of my life.
That's how I feel about it. Like, it's the only beer I ever want to drink. But I can definitely see what you're saying. It's not like
I'm not talking people that get to go and sniff hops on the regular.
Right.
No, and I was gonna add to that and be like, I think it's super approachable for everybody as well. But those who like either are in the industry or who drink a lot of beer like us and host a podcast about it and are the kind of nerds and connoisseurs,
right.
Or borderline alcoholics, whatever you want to call it. We can appreciate that there's like something extra to this. It's like it's approachable to everybody, but like you said, there's like an explosion of flavor and it hits you with a little citrus right at the end. So there's more going on than like your average, middle of the road approachable beer for everybody here. And I think that's why it's so awesome. And that's why I think you're swooning about it.
It's got so many layers. Yeah. Like, it drinks so layered, where you can like have a sip and you like, oh, this is what I perceive this time. Then you take another sip and you're like, oh, I get something.
Like, I got
different.
the berries kind of the second time, but the first time was like you said, dry and then citrus at the end.
Yep. Yeah, and then like as it like kind of fills and coats your mouth, like you get even more, and then there's some retronasal stuff that happens, and there's so much nuance in that beer that we could sit here and talk about it the entire time.
Oh yeah, but
I mean
the layers, like you said.
Yeah.
Sexy hops are like onions. They're like ogres. It's
right.
all the layers. But for me, I think another way to put this one, obviously any IPA you're going to get anywhere is going to like be distinctly different. If I have one of these compared to, you know, an IPA somewhere else, like you're going to see the differences. I don't think I'm going to find this anywhere else. I don't think anyone else is doing a beer like this.
Not really in Minnesota per se. This is like much more ubiquitous, like out west. So like a lot of the Southern California breweries, like Washington, it's all Pilsner malt. It's all crystal clear. It's all like the Hazies are still there, but like everyone's got at least 2 or 3 of those going at any time on the West Coast.
So you guys are just like pioneers. Like you're the start.
Yeah, we'll take that.
It's a revolution.
It's the style that we've always like kind of appreciated. Oh yes, and we do. Wow, that was hard to read. We do have a West Coast Pilsner coming out too, slightly behind this, which is in that same. It's in that same vein of like clear, crisp, but just packed with tons and tons of flavor. So that one is like with Sultana, Sultana, Citra, Nelson, and Luminosa. So it's going to be a hop load. It's aggressive.
My weird brain, like some of the hop names, I would have to make beers with them just because of how cool.
Oh yeah, no, that happens all the time.
Like this tastes like shit, but it's such a cool name. I can't. How do I not?
I want more of it. Why do I want more of it? It tastes bad, but it's so cool. Good branding.
Man. Topic number 3, coming off of that delightful, sexy hops beer. What are we getting into here for the third X Factor for the Minnesota Wild season?
Special players, special teams.
Special teams, special plays, special players.
Brother.
Brother?
No, we're going with special teams here. Now, the power play obviously is something that needs to be improved. I think on the back end, I'm a little bit more excited this year since obviously Spurgeon's healthy. There's more options. Now Faber very capable of moving the puck on the back end and being that power play quarterback. But I think this year, if he doesn't have to take that on every single game, it might honestly help because then there's more time for him 5-on-5. He's less labored, and maybe if his minutes go down just a little bit, sure, maybe his points go down a bit, but it's not because of a lack of him doing what he's there to do and play defensively. It just means that there's more options on the power play, and I don't necessarily think Spurgeon should be the guy every single night. I would like to see Declan Chisholm there as well, but
there's the big question.
Long and the short of it, there's options on that back end now, which is awesome. And then, I mean, the forward group, we know who's going to be running it. It's that secondary power play that I think is going to be interesting. That second unit, just like how we talked about that second line. That second unit's going to be interesting to see how they construct it.
Are they going to get minutes though?
Or if they just or if they just load up that first line and they're just going to score.
Last year, I think the first group was averaging like 1.5 minutes to 1:40. If that's the case, then I guess it doesn't matter. But it'd be nice to have a second unit to balance it out.
I like the options this year compared to last year, though, coming out of camp because there's more capable bodies who aren't banged up.
That's the thing. Can the team stay healthy? But Declan Chisholm is an interesting one because to start the year, it looks like he's, potentially going to be supplanted by John Merrill, which I just took my mouth a little bit.
It makes me sick.
But apparently they're just not happy. Like a little bit more erratic play, like questionable turnovers, and John Merrill
doesn't have any questionable turnovers at all, ever.
For whatever flaws he has, which he has them, but he's usually not going to be a big risk taker. So I understand it initially, but this team is deeper and more dynamic if you've got Chisholm as one of the power play quarterbacks, if not the first power play quarterback, much like Kalen Addison was supposed to be, other than the fact that the team just did not trust him defensively. But Chisholm is a bigger bodied, I think more confident and better shot option at the point. Kalen Addison, maybe a little bit more creativity and just better vision, but I think some of that's there with Chisholm, and I think part of it too is just being willing to go for the ride, do whatever Zuccarello and Kaprizov dictate. He's going to get skipped past a lot by those two, but I think the more exciting piece of this, when we say special teams, is the kill. And you look at some of the forward groupings that they're putting together. If the blue line stays healthy and the goaltending is just average, right? Because last year, the goaltending was a big part of the problem for the Kill. Maybe Capuano comes in and improves that. Don't know, but the forward groupings are actually really fun. There's a lot of guys that are very well equipped to kill penalties, and not just
big
because
two-way guys,
and not just because like some goals could be scored shorthanded. Like Murat Huznadinov, everyone wants him to be a first line center, and I'm sorry, that's not how he profiles at any point in his career.
Two-way forward,
Dude, he is a certified lunatic. He is going to get in front of every puck. He is going to be buzzing around. The guy can skate. He's going to create opportunities. At the very least, he's going to get up in their grill and make it difficult to be
good at stealing
power play
pucks,
against
good at
them.
picking pockets. Yeah.
So I think the penalty kill, I'm actually like weirdly more optimistic on, because I think a goalie will rise out of the three, assuming that the team, doesn't be stubborn and roll three regardless. If the goaltending is okay and the blue line can stay healthy, I like the kill units that we can put together here.
No, for sure. That's, I guess, it's the one thing when you look at 5-on-5 this team where you need a second line that can score. Well, at least you have two lines that can shut down. Well, at least we hope right now, anyways, that can shut down top lines and can play a really good defensive game and a really good two-way game, responsible game as well. And that's obviously going to translate to the penalty kill.
We can get into
let's do it.
This guy here.
Final beer of the flight.
The
Mike's
final beer of the
baby.
flight. Mike's, well,
And it sounds like it's a surprise.
Aaron's baby.
it's Aaron's baby, but this is for
my wheelhouse.
This is Mike's wheelhouse. When Mike writes
Aaron
beers,
just comes sprinting.
yes,
And he would.
he would. Yes, he would run. He would run hard.
He would run.
Yes,
He's not a sprinter, though. He's more of a distance guy.
he is. Yeah,
Yes.
ultra marathoner. So this it's called a Grodz, and it's a Polish wheat smoked.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You can smell the
Wheat
smokiness,
smoked
like
ale.
80% smoked malt.
Yeah, and there's
But it's
oak smoked wheat.
whoa.
yeah.
And
So
then the
you
rest
would-
of it's oats. So there's no barley per se in this beer. It's all oats and wheat, which is kind of fun. You don't really see that very often. Like almost every beer that we make is 90-ish%
Yeah.
barley.
And when I say too, it's like 80% smoked. Like that just sounds so insane, and a lot of people it would just turn them off. Like that's way too much. Oh my god, it's gonna be crazy. But
No, it's
it's
smoky,
not.
but it's not overpowering at
Yeah.
all.
So sometimes that really heavy smoked styles, like people just get turned off from them, but they really aren't as like smoky as people tend to think they are.
I love the oak
I've
on this.
definitely
too.
had way more smoky beers, just the right little oomph to, sounds wrong to say, right? Because there's a lot that goes into this, but like a simple beer for
Yep.
someone that's like coming in.
Oh, and it's
just a
super light
casual
too. I think
drinker,
it's
right?
like what, 4%?
Something like that.
Yeah, like
just a
3.8,
nice,
4%.
light, easy drinking.
The other thing that makes it really nice is like because of all the protein in that rye or the oats and the wheat, it has like this kind of like unctuous mouthfeel.
Yeah.
Like really coats your mouth, and it's like feels bigger and
Yeah, a little
kind of
thicker
meaner than it
feel.
is, but it drinks so light. I don't know. It's a mind meld thing that weird.
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
this
it breaks my brain
it's
a little
good
bit.
for you though. It's got protein.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Bodybuilders, eat your heart out.
Yep.
I like that.
Smoked salmon and smoked beers.
There you go.
Smoked salmon.
That's how you get.
They would actually go really well together. I think that'd be kind of nice.
So too, yeah.
We want like capers or something like briny and salty in there. That'd be really good.
There's one that I've wondered though, because like there's a lot of different pairings you'll see out there for like people like, easy to do like stouts with Girl Scout cookies. Then you'd see something like this with like a salmon makes sense. What's a good food to go with an IPA?
I like wings, like spicy wings, or like a really good like curry. Goes really nice with an IPA. Like all of
Give me something spicy. Got it.
yeah, something spicy. I think especially in those veins, it really punches up the citrus. Like one thing that I really like to do is like spicy and coffee. Because it changes the way that your tongue perceives coffee. Try it sometime. It's wild. Like drinking like something or eating something hot and then drinking coffee, it like the coffee changes. It's completely different.
It's like chili and chocolate in Mexico, right?
Exactly. Yeah. They go so together, wild.
Yeah.
It's such an odd combination, but like, so this plus like something spicy kind of like livens all of that up for you, which is really, really fun. But, I mean, that's me. I don't know what Mike wants to do. Probably.
Yeah, no, that coffee, it reminds me of one of my favorite like red meat rubs, cowboy coffee.
Oh yeah,
So it's
yeah.
like, you know, coffee grounds, black pepper, ancho chili powder, and then a little bit of brown sugar. I make big batches of it, and steaks, anything red, it just coat it. Oh, so good.
Yum.
Now I'm just thinking of dry aging that.
Yeah. Oh yes.
And,
That'd be.
I mean, you
Speaking
know,
of the smoky
smoked
flavor,
meat,
yeah.
smoked meats, you get a smoked beer.
There you go.
Yep.
Ooh, good combo. Good combo.
Yeah.
For those of you who love smoked everything, beers and meats, and
There is definitely a niche out there for that. Like,
Oh,
there's
yeah.
so
Oh,
many
yeah.
people that like. There are people who their entire like social feed is people smoking meats and stuff. So, they're that's we got to hit the algorithm with that.
Yes. Yeah. It's like a whole thing. Like, I mean, I smoke meat. Mike smokes meat. Marcus smokes meat.
yeah.
Like,
And we use our smoker. Anything that would go in the oven goes on the smoker. Pizzas, wings,
Mine as well.
whatever. I mean, you know, so you get like one of those like stove top where
Yep.
they like
Yeah,
clear
yeah.
plastic on them. Smoke's not getting inside of that, so that just goes in the oven. But anything else, like any kind of casseroles, throw that in there.
it's just, I think what I was listening to a podcast one time and they were saying like, it's a dirty oven.
Yeah.
Like if you just think about it, it's just a dirty oven.
That
It
makes
just,
things taste amazing.
I know. Yeah.
Wait, is my oven a smoker then?
What?
Is my oven a smoker?
Basically, yeah. Just throw some wood chips in there. You'll be fine.
It's dirty. I don't know.
It'll get even more
Smoke
dirty.
detectors might have an issue.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Just
Set off some alarms.
power up the fans a little bit.
There you
You
go.
open the
You get the
windows.
towel
you
out.
get the towel.
Get the towel
yep,
out.
Yep. All right, well, we got to make the sales folks happy here.
Oh,
and
right,
make sure
right,
that
right.
we share the big news. Fashion Mullet, it is making the rounds, and we're trying to loop it in with hockey. We know that you all want to go out to the bars. If there's a wild special, why not smash them even harder? And right now there's a promotion, whether it's awesome glassware, whether it's game day events and game day specials. The Lupulin folks here want to get Fashion Mullet out to as many hockey bars as possible out here in the Twin Cities. So if you go to any of those bars and they do not have Fashion Mullet on tap, do not ask, do not plea, demand that they get it in there.
Bring it in.
Have them reach out directly to Lupulin in any capacity. I know we can probably throw something in the description for this video with contact info. Just don't have that offhand right now, but feel free to just message, DM any of the socials for Lupulin if you're interested and don't have a contact here. Also means we just have to yell at that sales rep,
I
right?
see a contact info right there. There you go.
No, is that what that is?
God damn it. But yes, I mean, again, Fashion Mullet, incredible beer, incredible branding, and you can see here what we're throwing on the screen, because I'm pretty sure Marcus sent it over to us, is the brilliant hockey rebranding of Fashion Mullet.
It's gonna be sweet.
It is pretty
It's
sweet.
pretty
looking.
sweet.
Cannot confirm or deny whether or not there is blood
that
in
is-
the beer itself.
There's
Gonna lean no.
maybe not according to
Gonna lean no.
Department of Ag.
Yeah.
Probably not. But I mean, if you bleed in your beer, that's up to you. I mean, maybe you like that copper penny kind of flavor. Probably not though.
Probably not.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a super approachable beer. If you like Fashion Mullet, or even if you don't, it's something that you can kind of come to. If you're like, I kind of like IPAs. I have a buddy who really like came around to IPAs basically because of that beer. Because he's like, it's super easy to drink. There's not a lot of like fluff or other things happening. It's just like a nice amount of tropicalness, and then it's got a nice balancing bitterness of the sweetness that it also has. So, yeah. It's a good beer. I can confirm.
awesome.
Well, looking forward to seeing it in more bars. Appreciate you guys having us out here and taking
Yeah,
us
thank
through
you.
an incredible flight
Yeah,
of
I hope you
beers.
enjoyed it.
Can't wait to see some of the beers that come up now after this ripe new hop selection.
Yeah, we're pretty excited too.
yeah.
Some really, really pungent, awesome hops coming out, including a couple secret ones, I guess. I don't know. We'll sneak those out. Probably beginning of next year. Once they start coming in, they'll be fresh off of the the bine, as it were.
I love
Love
it.
that.
Last time we were here, we dove into all the dark stuff.
Yeah.
Lighter stuff here this time, and we'll definitely have to make our way out here for Big Beer Week again later this year.
Awesome.
Or next year, I guess.
Beginning of next year.
Beginning of next
beginning
year.
of next
March.
year.
Yep, coming up in March. So mark it on your
stoked.
calendars. Just take the entire week off, and then you might want to take the one after that too,
Get a
just
hotel
to
down the street.
recover. Get back into it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys really need to get a setup like Drecker does, where you just got a whole hotel establishment.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
That would make Big Beer Week a lot more doable for me.
We could probably put something on the roof. I don't know, like a tent farm or something like
cots
that.
or
I was gonna say, yeah, some cots, some bunk beds.
I was gonna say, if you just
Yeah.
give me a
Yeah.
reserved spot that I can throw an air mattress, I'm good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Under the stars.
We'll do a lock-in in here with like air mat. Oh, that could get ugly. I mean, we don't do
Under the
that.
stars in beginning of
Yeah,
March.
everyone will
Yeah, please don't
load
fall
it
off
up
the
on the big
roof.
beers. Oh my goodness.
That could get ugly real
Everyone
fast.
sign a waiver.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely a waiver.
Number 4, Hoppy. Last but certainly not least. What do you got?
No, and I guess maybe it's not most, but definitely not least, like you said, is October. The Wild of late have come out a bit slow, and whether it be goaltending, whether it be unfortunate scheduling, whether it be guys just falling flat to start the year and not putting up the offense that we expect them to, they've put themselves behind the barrel and put them in a spot to chase more often than not. And this year, 2 home games to start, that's great. 7 in a row on the road to round out the first month. I think you need to come out of this above 500. Like, there's no way around it.
Yeah.
If the Wild don't have at least 10 points out of 9 games, and that's a pretty low bar. Like, I think a higher number, if we really want to do something, is better. I think Joe Smith said his kind of bar for them is hit 13 out of 18 points. But you've got to win those road games. I think it could either like make or break the season, like to go on the road, like galvanize the team. It's good for the locker room. And if you can come out of it in the positive, now you're just coasting, right? Like you're playing with house money. If they come out here and they win 3 of their first 9 games, panic button.
Yeah.
Like you're not in a good spot. And there's certainly context that goes with that, but end of the day, you're through October and you're 3-6. That's not acceptable. That's going to be a real problem and a big hole to climb out of. But yeah, I don't know. Any other thoughts on the opening slate?
No,
for
and
the
it
schedule?
sucks. I mean, obviously the schedule didn't do them any favors, but I mean, it is what it is. There's a lot of West Coast teams where the schedule doesn't favor them anyways, and they'll pull through during those big road trips. So it happens. I don't want to say to every team, because there's a certain few teams all kind of bunched together in the Upper East Coast. But other than that, this happens to most of the teams that are a little spread out in the league, and this is really going to either show a lot from the group and bring them together, or it's going to create like you said, or it's going to dig them a big hole. I don't think it's going to be anywhere in between. Like, because if it is 500, that's still a hole. Like they have to be above that. We'll come out to Lupulin, like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next flights.